Hello and welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to have a look at the Kospet Optimus 2, this full Android smartwatch. You may not have heard of Kospet. They've been around for quite a while, but they're better known for making fitness trackers such as the Tank 2. The Optimus, however, is much more than just a fitness tracker. In fact, it's much more than just having a Google Pixel with Wear OS watch, because this runs full Android. 10.7 is the version that's on here currently, and it also incorporates an independent SIM, so it's a fully functioning phone. Add to that a camera, 4 GB of RAM and 128 GB of storage, and it can do most of the things that your smartphone would. I've had a few full Android smartwatches in the past, including the Lemfo LEM5 and this one, the LEM8, as well as the predecessor to the Optimus 2, the Optimus Prime. I've been using this watch for about 4 years. I've had to repair both switches. I've had to replace the strap, of course. It leaked. I've dried it out a couple of times and it's managed to survive. And finally, I replaced the battery. But after 4 years and numerous repairs, unfortunately, the ribbon cable that connects to the SIM has snapped. So I can no longer connect this to a network, and therefore, while it works as a watch, it's not particularly useful as a phone. Since then, if you've been watching the channel, you'll know I've been using a DZ09. But finally, my friend Edgar Alasso convinced me it was time to stump up the cash and buy the Optimus 2. I've been using it for a couple of months now alongside my dumb phone, so I can actually hotspot the tablet when I'm at work. And it's a great wearable. Let's take a look at what comes in the box. So the box it comes in is a fairly classy affair with silver writing for Kospet on the front, and a little bit on the back just telling you some of the specs and nothing else. The insert is white, again with silver writing. There's nothing else on this box, it's just plain. And when you open it up, you get this little package, and in here is a card. Watch you want. And I must admit, it is a watch you probably do want. Nothing else in there. And then this is the instruction manual. So it's got a few safety bits and a bit about the watch itself, how to put the SIM card in, charging it, make sure you don't short circuit it. And then this is the QR code for the app that runs on your smartwatch, so you can link the two together. Now this app doesn't work on my smartphone. The link is broken or insecure, I'm not sure which, but as I use it as standalone, it doesn't really matter. And then we'll go through there, that's fine. Everything else is pretty straightforward, bit about watch faces, blah blah. So we'll get rid of that. The watch itself would have been sat here, but of course I've been wearing it for the last couple of months, so it's here. This is the charging dock. So this contains a 1 amp hour battery, and it just clips on magnetically. It uses the micro USB socket rather than the USB-C that you'd expect. Otherwise, it works fine. Under here, there is actually another screen protector in there knocking around. There it is. So if at some point I remove the one that's on, I've got a replacement. And then in here was the charging cable, which is also a data cable. So it's a standard USB. And then it's got 4 pins on the bottom and some magnetic clips. So that just clips on the bottom of the watch, like so. And that allows you to charge it and also send data to your computer, so you can put things on the internal storage. In here, there's also a couple of little screwdrivers, and there was a micro USB lead as well. So we'll get rid of those, because the watch is what we're interested in. So I've been using it for a couple of months, so I've added a few necessary apps, and I've charged it up fully so we can have a look at how it works. Let's take a look at what it can actually do. So the watch itself has a 1.6-inch screen. It's a 400 by 400 display. Of course, because it's round, we don't get 400 by 400 in a square. So a lot of those pixels aren't used for many of the apps, especially if you download them from the Playstore. At the top is a 13 megapixel camera with flash, and you can use the flash as a torch, much like you would on your phone. The camera itself is swivelable, so you can pull it up this way, and that allows you to accommodate for video calls, and you can also use the face unlock feature on Android. On the right hand side there are two buttons. That's the power button and this is a back button. On the left side there's the SIM slot and there's a little hole for the microphone as well. The phone itself comes with a leather, or in this case a silicone strap. They're quick release 24mm straps. You just pull the lever and you can pop them on and off, much like you can on your iPhone. On the bottom we've got the magnetic pogo pins, which we've already had a quick look at. There's the sensor, so this is heart rate and SpO2. So let's turn it on. And we're in. So this is the main screen. So the power button of course turns it on and off. And there's a short delay and it'll turn off. From here, if you press and hold the screen, you can then choose different watch faces. I'm going to go back to this one just because I want to show you that some of the watch faces, not only do they include things like heart rate data, battery and steps, as well as time and date, but some of them actually have shortcut buttons. So this one is actually a shortcut to the camera. Like so. And we'll take a better look at the camera in a moment. So pressing and holding the power button brings up a couple of options. You can change the screen from circle to square and back again. You can shut down, of course, reboot. We've got a mode switch. This puts it in power saving mode, and we've got a recent task list. Hitting that allows you to clear all the recent tasks or just cross off the ones you don't want remaining in background, so that will clear them. From the home screen, if we go right, this is your notification page, so if you receive any messages, they'll pop up on here. Heading back, if you go up, this gives you current status. It says SIM. We're currently in flight mode, so there's no connection to the outside world. Your battery life and any Bluetooth devices, as well as the date and time. Moving across one, we get these options. So this is a quiet mode. We've got a brightness option. Maximum brightness isn't as bright as my phone. You will struggle reading a QR code or a barcode from this screen, so just be aware of that. It is one of the few limitations. Here we've got flight mode. You can turn it on and off. The central one operates data. This one is hand bright screen on. So when you flip your wrist, it pops the screen on, but only for about a second or so. After that, we've got Bluetooth and of course Wi-Fi. Moving across one more, we've got two system modes. So we're in full 4G at the moment. Pressing this pops it in a kind of a light mode. So it doesn't use any data and it'll kill all the applications in the background and just use a kind of basic applications such as calls and text messages. Moving across once more, we've got the cleaner. Pressing this just clears up the RAM and system data. There's nothing further on. And if we head back to the home screen, like so, if we now go down, we get the step counter. It tells you how many calories you've burned, and it tells you how far it thinks you've gone based on the number of steps. From here, you can move right and you get access to your MP3 player. And this is the easiest way of adjusting the volume on the phone itself, is to come to this section. Otherwise you have to go into settings. Moving once more, we get the forecast. Heading back, if we go down one more, we get a list of steps for the last 7 days, and at the bottom we've got totals. Again, moving across, we get the same MP3 and then weather data. If you're enjoying this video, a like and subscribe would be excellent. If you are really enjoying this video, consider becoming a channel member. Not only do you get early access to videos and stickers and a few other bits and bobs, but I'm going to start doing membership polls in order to guide the direction of the channel. Essentially, I have so many ideas for videos I want to make and so little time that I could do with a little assistance on working on the direction of the channel. So if you want to be part of that, have a look at the membership page. So swiping left, we get all the applications. So we've got a little watch face in the middle because that's how I've set this one up. We've got the phone, contacts, messaging, the heart rate monitor, a sleep monitor, a breathing exercise, and this is designed to bring your heart rate down. Then we've got the SpO2 sensor and we've got settings. If we scroll down, we get all the other applications that are currently installed. So the web browser, the photo viewer, the camera, a calendar. This is just a basic calendar with all the dates on it. This is the alarm clock. We've got a voice record mode. So you just record some voice like that, save it like so, and then it saves it to the watch itself. In this mode, if you scroll across, it'll pick up any of your previous recordings and you can then play them back. So you just record some voice like that. As you can tell, the audio quality is pretty good, even on the inbuilt speaker, as is the microphone. So we'll head back. Here we've got the MP3 player. The MP3 player is very basic. There's no ability to filter by artist or album or any of that jazz, which is a shame. So it just randomly plays, or in order plays, any music that is stored on your device. From here, much like the shortcut we've already seen, it's a good way to adjust the volume. Otherwise, you have to go into settings itself. Carrying on, we've got files. This is just a file explorer, so it initially tells you how much space you've used. Pushing down allows you to access the usual folders. This is very handy, for example, if you want to Bluetooth a file to someone else, or you're wanting to delete some files that are installed. Continuing down, we've got some more built-in applications. That's the weather application. We've got various exercise options here, including outdoor walk, indoor run, biking, volleyball, blah, 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 blah. And you can add more. This is obviously access to Playstore. This is settings for the app manager itself. So from here you can change your dial, although we've already done that. You can also alter your menu style, so there's quite a few to choose from. So we've got various different options in terms of how we want to view it. I'm going to go back to this one because it is the one I prefer. You can also switch styles, and what that is it's just how we scroll across. So at the moment I've got it set on this one, which is background pre-position, but you could, for example, change it to in a square box. And as you can see, it alters the way it switches between different pages. Here we've got Play Store. This is quick access to Google search. I've installed Maps. It wasn't pre-installed, but it works very well. In Maps, because this isn't a multi-touch screen, you can zoom in by double tapping. If you want to zoom out, you need to double tap and draw your finger up. But otherwise, it works very well. The GPS on it's very sensitive, so it picks things up quite quickly. And while we're here, I'm just going to show you, obviously in circle mode, we've lost access to a number of things here. So by pressing and holding here and changing to square mode, you can see we can now access the various controls that are otherwise hidden. And so there's a lot of swapping between square and circle mode when using various apps because of that. Circle and square mode don't affect the standard interface. Down at the bottom, we've got a download option. This is for more watch faces. You can access that by simply scrolling across the watch faces when you go through. And this one also allows you to clean and screen lock, set up face unlock. There's a third-party apps adapter. This is debatable whether it works well or not. What it effectively does is shrink some of the apps, and so you get smaller text and smaller things on screen. It doesn't work particularly well, I have to say. System work mode allows you to put it in high, adaptive, or low power mode, and you can freeze apps. Moving down, this is the store that came with the watch. There are a few apps on here. I wouldn't recommend downloading any of these unless you download them through the Play Store itself. This allows you to set up face unlock mode. This one allows you to set up your phone so you can connect with your phone, and then you can use remote capture, and you can also use remote music so you can play music from your phone rather than on the watch. The rest of these apps are all third-party apps or I've installed afterwards. So I've installed a different contacts application, I've got Sudoku, a calculator, YouTube, got a couple of games and quick access to Google through voice, Color Note which syncs with my phone, and a different MP3 player, and we'll have a look at those in a minute. One of the biggest advantages of running full Android on here is that we have access to the Play Store. So that means we can immediately add those applications that aren't built into the ROM, such as Messenger and WhatsApp. Also, you can get a better MP3 player, and if you're into your fitness, you can download Strava, and it runs perfectly well on here, and will of course link straight to your account on your mobile phone. Edgar tells me you can also run a Game Boy emulator on here, although I have yet to give that a go. So one of the things you're going to want to do on here is install Messenger and WhatsApp, as not everyone texts these days. Quick word of warning, you cannot change the text size on things. So if I go into WhatsApp, and obviously I'm going to blur quite a bit of it, but you can see that the text itself is very small and there's no way of making it bigger. Again, as with Maps, you're missing a lot of the controls unless you press and hold and change it to square screen, and then you can see all the different controls and buttons. These in the corners, particularly if you're trying to write a message, are quite difficult to do. The keyboard itself is pretty good, but trying to hit the actual buttons in the corners can be quite tricky. Obviously I'm offline, so that message isn't going to be sent. The same is true for Messenger, and I have Color Note installed in here where I keep various memos and they're synced with my computer. So don't expect to be reading any books on here or dealing with any big messages. Playstore does now have a section specifically for watches, and so there's a few applications that are pretty much optimized for a watch, this being one of them. So this is the classic game 2048. I say classic, I don't think it's been around that long. In this game, all you do is slide tiles around and attempt to make bigger numbers, and of course they bunch together. So it's very easy to play, and obviously on a screen like this, it works very well. I do also have Sudoku installed. This is not watch optimized, and so it can be a little tricky just hitting the correct buttons. As you can see, it's quite small. If I put it into full mode, on circle screen, it's a little bit bigger, but it is quite tricky just hitting the right ones, and 3 strikes and you lose the match. You'll have noticed there's no access to the torch within the system, which I think is a bit of an oversight, but there are 2 perfectly good options for you. You can either OK Google Lumos, and it'll turn the light on, and then of course you can turn it back off. OK Google, turn torch off.
Turning torch off.
Thank you very much. The second option is you install a third-party app. So some applications work pretty well in either mode. The BBC News is one of them. Because of the width of everything, it works quite well. You can scroll down, select a story, and you can scroll through without actually having to go square and circle all the time. The only issue again is the text size is very small. As you've already seen, I've installed YouTube, so you can watch videos on here. If we pop it in circle mode, it goes to a kind of full screen. You can shrink it, of course, bring it back up, and by dragging down, you can make it full screen. So if you want to impress your friends with a bit of fancy video on the go, on your wrist, look no further than this. So from here, to go to your activities, if you scroll across, you can see this is where all the activities are kept. Currently, there's only a small selection of what's available. If you want to install new ones, you need to tap on this icon, which we've already looked at briefly, and you can see we've already got a few installed, so that's fine. And then down at the bottom, you simply click plus, and here you get options to install any of the 32. Outdoor run, outdoor walk, indoor run, outdoor bike, play basketball, play football, play ping pong, play badminton, jump rope, trail running, open and closed jump, indoor bicycle, mixed aerobic, social dance, baseball, snowboarding, rugby, alpine skiing, skating, squash, golf, volleyball, boxing, wrestling, gymnastics, track and field, tennis, dance, martial arts, rowing machine, and stepper. So it's quite a selection of different activities you can have. There's a couple of obvious ones we're missing. You can't, of course, have climbing. I don't use any of them. Instead, I use the step counter, and that's about it. But if you're really into sports and you want something that can monitor what you're doing, this watch will do it. So if we head into settings, it should all look pretty familiar. We've got the standard network and internet, so the Wi-Fi is currently off. It tells us your data usage, and of course you can hotspot, which I do regularly at work and is very useful. Got connected devices for your Bluetooth. This will connect very easily with Bluetooth headphones. You get really good sound quality through it. Here we've got some application notification options. So this just tells you what's recently opened. You can see them all default. We've got permission manager and special app access. This is where you need to come if you want to stop it closing things in the background. So if you're running a third-party MP3 player or anything like that, to stop it being shut down in the background, you need to go to special app access, battery optimization, and then you need to scroll down, click on all apps. You need to scroll down to the application you want to stop it from closing in the background and select it. So for example, I might want to play music in the background. VLC is currently optimizing, which means if it gets sent to background, it'll be closed after about 5 minutes. So if I put don't optimize, then it won't shut it down when running in the background. In here, we've got a couple more access options like the do not disturb, modify settings, adaptive notifications, etc., etc. All the usual things you would expect. Next, we've got battery. In here, it tells you what's using your battery. Very standard for Android, nothing particularly exciting. Here's your volume options. So it is a bit of a pain if you want to come and change things, because you have to come into this setting, which, yeah, it's a little bit frustrating because it's a long way in just to change the volume. You've got storage, so I've currently used 21%. Got location options and which ones have access, and then Google services, systems, and of course About Watch. So there is a wireless update option. When I got this, it did need a wireless update, but I haven't had any since. And because this was released, I believe in 2019 or 2020, I don't think there'll be any further wireless updates. Also says the SIM service, there's none at the minute because it's not on. And then there's a little bit about the chip and hardware, blah, blah, blah. When it comes to portable electronics and specifically wearables, battery life is always a bit of a bugbear. Being small devices, they tend to have small batteries. Now, Kospet has really worked on the power consumption on this new device. They've done a couple of things that make a huge difference. The first is they've just made it bigger. So instead of a 1.4 dial, we've got a 1.6 inch dial, and that's allowed them to go from an 800 milliamp hour battery to a 1260 milliamp hour battery, about 50% more power straight off the bat. In addition, they've massively upgraded the chipset on here. So this is running the Helio P22 from MediaTek. It's an octa-core running at 2 gigahertz, and it uses about half the amount of power as the CPU in here. And this results in massive real-world battery improvements. The background management is fairly aggressive, so any applications you want to stay running while in the background, you need to add to the list so it's not optimized. Otherwise, it gets closed within a couple of minutes. But in the real world, if you're running this just as a phone without the data switched on, I am getting 3 days of use quite easily, even when sending quite a lot of messages. If you've got the data switched on, as long as it's only light data use, you'll still get a couple of days on a single charge. And if it's in flight mode, because you're on holiday, for example, and you don't want to pay those extortionate fees for using it abroad, then you'll get over a week on a single charge. This represents about a third improvement over the Optimus Prime. Charging is a little bit slow. Going from 20% to 100 usually takes a little over 2 hours. But I'd encourage you never to try fast charging it anyway, because that small battery is encased and heat dissipation is an issue. Rapidly charging batteries and therefore heating them can damage the battery itself and reduce its lifetime and also its capacity. So let's quickly talk about the camera. So the camera itself can be launched either from the quick screen we've already seen, or you need to excuse the mess on my desk, let's bring that up, or from the icon in the task manager. So there's not many options on the camera. As you can see, we've got this button here, which just flips it round, and that's because obviously if you point it off that way, you might want it the other way up, and if you point it yourself, you need it this way. We've got 2 options here. We can take photos or we can do videos. To set it going, obviously, you just press the red button in the middle, nice and straightforward. And if you go to settings, we're currently in video mode, so we can set a time lapse and we can set the video quality. Let me just go back, and the options are 1080p, 720 and 480. So I've been using 1080 and I don't think those videos are too bad. If we head into photo mode, you can see we've got a focusing ring there, and like on all Androids, if you tap in a different place, it'll try and focus there for you. If we press this button, we get flash options, and then we get these. So we get a timer, and we've got the picture size. And again, I've got it set to 13 megapixels. There are lots of options right down to quarter VGA. I don't know why you'd use this to take a quarter VGA picture, but if you wanted, you can. It does take pretty good pictures, so here's a selection for you to have a look at. And you'll see if we zoom in on some of these, the actual resolution is pretty good. So while I think you'll agree this isn't going to be as good as your smartphone camera, it's certainly not a bad option considering it's just being carried around on your wrist. So the Optimus 2 is either a very small phone or a very big watch depending on your point of view. I've been using a smartwatch as a backup phone for about 10 years now, and that's because sometimes I'll get signals on one network and not on another, and it's important that I can still receive text messages. It also means when I do forget my phone, as long as I have my watch on, I can still be in contact. Since swapping to my dumb phone nearly 6 months ago now, I've been using the Optimus 2 as a way to hotspot my tablet when I'm at work, as I have online forms to fill in, and it works very well in this capacity. It also allows me to access WhatsApp at a pinch, as just occasionally I'll have somebody send an image through that needs looking at. And of course there is access to maps, although crazy as it sounds, I can actually access Google Maps on here, although it's very slow because it's over a 2G network. While there are significant limitations when it comes to using apps from the Playstore due to the physical size of the screen and its low resolution, many apps run really well. The battery life and responsiveness in the OS on this device is a massive improvement over its predecessor. In fact, most of the time it feels very snappy with very little lag. Sadly, there's no NFC support, so you can't use this for payments while you're out and about. It's clear that this watch offers a really good option when it comes to leaving your massive smartphone at home, when going running for example, or just when out and about. It's got a good enough camera that you can take pictures, and I suspect if you installed a better photo app, you could do quite a lot with it. But the question I'm sure you're all wondering is, could this watch replace my smartphone entirely? So in order to answer that, I'm going to use it as my only phone for a week and create a little bit of a vlog for the next video. So if you don't want to miss that, make sure you hit the notification bell. And if you've enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Massive thanks to everyone who's subscribed already, to all my viewers, and of course a huge thanks to all the channel members for making these videos possible. As always, my name's Hugh. This is Handheld Computing. Thanks for watching.